It's great to have you to join us for this Green Living Centre webinar on how to make stylish and sustainable fashion choices. Really appreciate you coming along to share this information with us, because I know lots of you sent in your questions, so we're really excited to be able to get to those a little bit later. But to begin, I would just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land the Inner West is located on, the Gadigal and Wangal peoples of the Eora Nation, and pay respect to elders past, present and future, as well as all the elders in the lands where this broadcast is being watched. This is and always will be Aboriginal land. So just a little bit of housekeeping. Quite a few of you may not be familiar with using Microsoft Teams. So there's a number of tools that you can use along the top, which is the activity bar. You can see here on the screen to the left, it has the little icons. So you can check to see other people in the meeting. You can ask questions using the chat. So that's what we would like you to do. If you've got any comments or questions, please pop them into the chat during the session. And as we've already requested, please keep your camera off and muted. Otherwise, you will be recorded. Your image will be recorded across the top. And of course, we'd love you to interact by liking, loving and applauding, or even laughing during the presentation. So you can do that using the reactions tab, which is with the face with the little hand. Okay, so I think that's all of the housekeeping. If you have any further questions around not being able to visualize things or hear things, just pop them in the chat and we'll get to those in a moment. So just for those who are not familiar with the Green Living Centre, I am Emma Daniel. I am the Senior Engagement Officer from the Green Living Centre, and we're a program that's an initiative of Inner West Council. And what we do is we support and empower the Inner West community to live more sustainably by adopting a low carbon lifestyle. And the way we do that is through usually lots of face-to-face workshops, which we haven't done for a little while, webinars, we do occasional courses, we have a digital newsletter, we're on social media, and we also have the Green Living Centre and Inner West Council websites. So there's lots of different ways that the community is able to interact and work with us. So the way this session is going to work is we've got three amazing women that are joining us, and I'll introduce them each before they speak, but what they will do is be presenting for up to 5 minutes or around about. And then after each of them have talked about all the kinds of work they do and what they're interested in, we will then move on to a Q&A session, which has been worked out from all the questions that you've provided. So through the registration, we've collated all your questions, so we'll be using those for Q&A. But as I said, if anything comes to mind or you have another question you'd like to ask, please pop that in the chat as we go. So I'm just going to Okay, so our first presenter for today is the wonderful and vivacious Joanne Gambale, and she is a contributor to Vogue and founder of Slow Fashion Styling. And Joanne deals in quality secondhand consignment and vintage clothes and loves to help people rediscover the hidden gems in their wardrobe. So I'm really excited to welcome Jo, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Emma, and thank you everybody for being here. It's such a pleasure to be able to kind of share my, I guess, experience with you and my opinions as well. So what I'm all about is slow fashion, which is obviously the antidote to fast fashion. And what I want to talk, I mean, I could go on forever about it, but what I want to really talk specifically about today is the idea of shopping your own wardrobe. A lot of the questions that came in were actually about what brands to shop, you know, that kind of thing. You know, it's about, people are always talking about shopping sustainably, but what we have to keep reminding ourselves is the absolute most sustainable fashion is the fashion that's already in your wardrobe. So so yeah, I see a lot of clients, and I see a lot of wardrobes, and I guess I've come up with a lot of theories. It's amazing how many clothes we have in our wardrobe that we just don't wear, but we obviously bought them for a reason. So I'm going to show you my methods. I call it shopping your own wardrobe, and what it is about. The biggest kind of lesson of this is that we need to spend more time with / in our wardrobe, depending on how lucky we are in terms of wardrobe sizes. Yeah, we do a lot of kind of searching the shops for answers, and when actually the answer to our quandary of having nothing to wear is actually already in our wardrobe, most probably. So before we should even go to the shops, we need to really analyze our wardrobe. We need to know exactly what's there. And if it really is a terrible wardrobe with nothing to wear, then we need to know why, because we need to change that going forward. And we need to make sure that any shopping from now on is intentional, that we know exactly what we're looking for. We know what styles suit us. We know what shapes suit us. We know what colors suit us. And the only way that we can know this, it's not an expert tells you that, or a shopkeeper a shop assistant tells you. It's actually that we experiment ourselves and that we dedicate time to trying everything on. So that's what I'll take you through. Essentially, it's shopping your own wardrobe is actually a kind of wardrobe edit. A bit, a Marie Kondo kind of style is not really my idea of a sustainable wardrobe edit, because it's all about culling and clearing. However, the great thing about that method is that it is true that you can't see your clothes. You can see your clothes, but you can't see outfits and potential ways of wearing your clothes if they're all just kind of shoved together. I've tried to do a little demonstration wardrobe. Most of this stuff is mine. Some of it's kind of slow general use, but I wanted to give you an idea of what your wardrobe might look like. And that is really difficult for me to figure out what to wear, especially at 7 in the morning, when I'm feeling a little bit crusty and I need to go to work, for instance, when all that happens again. So yeah, it's essentially though what I will be doing to create that clarity and to make that space, instead of putting things in garbage bags to donate, which we all know that's a whole can of worms where it ends up. But instead of doing that, what I tell my clients to do is create secondary storage. So okay, so if you're lucky enough to have a spare room, a spare cupboard, wardrobe, a second wardrobe, then obviously that's your that's where you'll be creating your secondary storage. The idea being that you might end up rotating the capsule that you will discover whilst putting all your outfits together during the shop your own wardrobe session. And then what you can do is you can come back to your secondary wardrobe and you can keep rotating that capsule, and it's like having new clothes all over again. So we never need this amount of clothes in our wardrobe. What we need to do is kind of divide, separate, and put, obviously, if coming into the summer months, you want all your winter clothes away, but also just things that you're just not loving at the moment. Doesn't mean you have to cull, but put them into secondary storage. So let's say you've got you're living in a small apartment, then you can still create secondary storage. I've got an example here. I use a suitcase. I've done this with a few clients who really have overflowing wardrobes and kind of nowhere to put anything. And the idea is that eventually you might end up donating some of the things that are in your suitcase, but you're not doing it immediately because you just can't know. And if you live for 3-4 months, and then you open this up again and you still really hate something, then of course donate it. But the idea for me is more that we're trying to kind of create our own capsule, and then everything else, just forget about it for the next 3 months, so that it doesn't overwhelm you. The amount of stuff in your wardrobe doesn't overwhelm you. So I'm going to do that. I've got my suitcase. I'm going to try and kind of do this as I talk about it. All my big coats, some dresses that don't fit me at the moment, some shirts I don't love. They're all going into my wardrobe. suitcase. There's a lot of stuff here, and it does fit in a suitcase. So, okay, let's leave it. Let's do a massive edit here, and we're just left with these remaining items. So the things that I've left in here are you know, the kind of versatile items like your jeans or I guess denim shorts if it's summer, your white shirts, all of the things that you've probably heard a million stylists talk about. They are really useful. It's really good having versatile pieces. I find denim is as neutral as it gets, so I love having. I have a couple of denim shirts that I rotate, and you know, so yeah, make sure you've got enough of that, and then maybe leave some things in there that you haven't worn for ages and you do love and you did buy because you loved it, but you just don't seem to wear it much. This is where shopping your own wardrobe comes into play. So next thing to do is to start making piles on the bed or on the floor. So what you want to do is you want to categorize everything, tops, pants, or whatever. But then as you go forward, you might start doing more interesting categories. You might, so what I'll take you through are some of the methods I use to shop my own wardrobe, because I think that if you're just like putting everything on your bed and it's like, well, now what? You know, it's difficult to kind of, okay, you see the individual items, but how do you start combining them? Because that is the key. The key to a hard-working wardrobe is outfits. You already know what can go with what. And the only way you can know that is to try everything on. Like I would just combine as many, see it as a numbers game, make as many combinations as you possibly can, and do not be afraid to put things together that you wouldn't normally put together. So the message for shopping your own wardrobe, what you want to achieve with your outfits. So you want to achieve as many outfits as possible, but you want the outfits to be interesting. Okay, so that's what you're going for, ultimately interest. Second, though, you want them to be balanced in some way. So you could kind of, I like to go all out. So, you know, with color and pattern and everything, and then I kind of par back and I create balance, yin and yang. And so that's what I want to take you through. So starting with color, not everyone has a lot of color in their wardrobe, and I'm not talking necessarily bright colors. Everyone has different colors that they're drawn to. And I think that most people, you know, even if you haven't had a color test or whatever, I think you know what colors you like. You know what colors you like on you. So let's just deal with some color here and try and create some outfits. So one thing you can do with color is clash, like totally two really similar colors can totally go together, and it creates a really bold outfit. So you can go, I've got this neon pink silk shirt. It's one of my absolute favorites, and I wear it all the time. And you might think, well, how come? Because it looks like something you would just never dare to wear. Well, you know, just start wearing these things, and actually it's amazing how quickly you gain confidence. Because you find that people only ever give you compliments if you're wearing something outrageous. I mean, but that's a whole nother story. So perhaps I should put it with this, even though this is a different hot, they're two hot pinks, but they're two different hot pinks. But I really like that. So I might put that aside, and there is one potential outfit. It's not finished yet though. Maybe I think it's a little bit too loud for me. So maybe I would then find a leather jacket. Or then maybe it's a bit too rock and roll. So maybe I would find a blazer, and then it's like, well, this is another pink adding to that. So that's actually getting more bold. Then it's like, okay, maybe I do go that, but maybe the shoes are pared back. Maybe I wear some really like casual shoes just to kind of feel, to make the look nonchalant. So you start building it like that. So color is one thing. You can think to put a hot color with a cold color. That's a really nice thing to do. It almost always works. I don't think there are any color combinations that I don't like, maybe except the Macca's red and yellow, because it makes me think of Macca's. But I honestly don't, there are no other color combinations. And even that one I could probably get to like. So yeah, try every color with every color. Yeah, go for like, you know, if you say got a blue, so it's more of a cold color, put it with a hot color. There you've got pattern clashes, and you've got, you know, going cold and hot. So real contrasting colors. And then another thing you can do is actually a mono like look. So that could be all black. I mean, I don't love black, but when I do wear black, I wear all black because I feel like that's when it really makes a statement. So yeah, you could go all green or all pink or all denim. I love double denim. I mean, it makes denim, single denim, so much more interesting when it's put with another denim. But then you can also experiment with other opposites. You see, I'm doing yin and yang always. So let's say you've got, and this is where we're really shopping our own wardrobe. I've left in there a dress that maybe I wore to a wedding once, and it's so pretty, and it cost me a lot of money, and I only wore it once, and I've never worn it again because, well, I wore it to a wedding. There haven't been any more weddings. I feel like it's over the top for daytime. Not true. You can dress down most dresses. So again, I could wear this with a leather jacket and some chunky boots. And I would absolutely wear this combination just in the day to go and get a coffee. And you don't look overdressed because of the way you've accessorized it. So that's all about yin and yang. It's kind of like, well, if something's really dressy, then you tone it down with the way you accessorize. And also, you know, you might have something that's really pretty, or, you know, so this is like a lacy 80s top with like puffy sleeves. And maybe it's like, oh, it's just a bit too girly. Well, wear it with some denim shorts and some Converse, and immediately you don't look girly. So yeah, it's all about yin and yang balance, creating interest, but then always powering it back and a little bit with something to balance it. So I don't know if my time is kind of coming to an end, but I wanted to talk about the ultimate kind of way to change outfits from one to another. You know, you can have like 5 tops and 5 pants, but you can create so many different versions of an outfit depending on the shoe, maybe a scarf, the bag. You know, that makes an outfit completely different. So perhaps you've got some silk scarves that you never wear because you don't know how to wear. That generally is the case with my clients. They always seem to have silk scarves. I don't know if they're gifts or what, and they never wear them. And it's like, well, you know, the French, you don't even have to be able to tie a scarf because the French just literally just, you know, throw it over. And it's just, if you're just wearing a white shirt and some jeans because you know, having one of those days where just throw that over and you look so chic and sophisticated, you know. And you can get silk scarves from vintage shops for such little money. And another one is the shoes. So let's say I had the same outfit that I wore the other day, but I want to make it a little bit more special. Then I would add some, you know, they don't even have to be heels, but I would add a little bling, and it makes a completely different look for a completely different occasion. So it's, yeah, that's what it's all about. It's all about balance, and it's about kind of building looks, and yeah, that's
excellent. So much, Jo. I'm so inspired already to get out back on the street with all of those tips, especially around color. I always struggle with things needing to be, you know, the right tones together and things like that. So it's really nice to think of those bold opposites. So I love that idea of color and that balance. And I know we can all relate to all of those bits of clothing we have that we've not worn for ages and at the back of our cupboard. So we'll get to explore that a little bit more as we go into the Q&A. So round of applause. Thank you so much. We'll now move on to our next presenter. So next we have the equally fabulous Natalie Shihata. So Nat is an eco-stylist, the founder of Tommy Magazine. She also is a retail trainer with The Social Outfit and an eco-stylist for Save the Children op shop. So very busy by the sounds of it. Nat is passionate about social justice and equity and the representation in fashion, which is all really amazing stuff. So please welcome Nat to the conversation.
Hi everyone, thank you so much, Emma. And so great, Joe. I loved that presentation. That was amazing. So I guess today I want to talk a little bit about how we can purchase new ethical fashion, but also touch on how we can buy and style secondhand clothing as well. And Joe touched on some amazing points there, which I'll try to provide different points to those ones because they were so cool. But I think I'll start with how to purchase new clothing ethically first. And I guess for us to, really understand how we can be, great ethical consumers, we need to know what, I guess, the definition of ethical fashion is, or what ethical fashion means to you. To me, ethical fashion means there is no exploitation in the supply chain, and that brands are transparent about what they pay their garment workers, the conditions in which they work, and the benefits that they may receive. Ethical and sustainable fashion means to me that we do little harm to the planet as much as possible, and it sustains people as well. So we really need to think about both ethics and sustainability when we are thinking about purchasing new. So sustainable fashion isn't just about a brand using environmentally friendly materials, for example, at the cost of garment workers. To me, this is not sustainability because you are not sustaining the welfare of people. So the important thing to also note is that, if you are purchasing new, no one brand is going to be able to tackle all issues. They're not going to be able to tackle the ethical front as well as the sustainability front as much as we hope brands can kind of, I guess, put a focus on those issues. So it's really up to us as individuals and citizens of the world. And I like to say that specifically rather than consumers, because we are so much more than consumers. We are people. And so it's really important for us as people to develop a value set that is important and go into shopping new with that kind of conscious shopping criteria is what I call it. So for example, I'm somebody that's really passionate about, women getting paid fair wages. I'm really passionate about refugee rights. I'm really passionate about empowering women. And so I'm always going to shop new with that shopping criteria. And I'll give you an example because I think it's always really important to have examples when we're putting this kind of learning and education into practice. So just say you're somebody that is vegan, for example, and you're going to buy a new pair of shoes. You're probably not going to buy a pair of shoes that was made from leather, for example. But we know that if you are somebody that's vegan and you go to buy a new pair of shoes, they're probably going to be man-made or synthetic. If you are, for example, a different customer who is very passionate about the environment, and that's your kind of, shopping, your conscious shopping criteria, you're probably going to want something that is going to last you a very long time and is really going to kind of stand the test of time so that you don't have to buy another pair of shoes for a really long time. So you're probably going to buy something that is made with leather because you don't believe in man-made fibers and you don't believe in synthetics, and you don't want to buy something that's made from petroleum, which we know is super bad for the environment. So that's kind of the contrast of two different customers and what their values are. So it's really important for us to develop that kind of conscious shopping criteria when we are going to buy new, because it will help us to kind of filter out brands that don't align with our values, and find those brands that are really kind of that speak to you and are going that extra mile based on the values that you find important. I just wanted to kind of share a couple of statistics as well that people may not know, because I think it helps just kind of contextualize all of this. So every year we produce 150 billion new items of clothing. And we know that there's only 7.9 billion people on the planet. So that's actually a whopping 19 times more clothing per individual. So we really need to think about these things like Joe was saying, shopping our wardrobe, because manufacturing is just through the roof. And we really need to kind of think about that and really think about, you know, why is it that I'm purchasing new? Now, there are instances when, you know, shopping our wardrobe isn't going to work. For example, you know, there are a lot of people during COVID who their wardrobe doesn't fit at the moment. Their clothes don't fit, you know. I'm putting my hand up for that. There are a lot of things in my wardrobe that actually don't work for me right now. And there's always going to be instances when we need new things. Doesn't mean that we have to purchase brand new clothing. I'm somebody that has a wardrobe that, you know, everything in my wardrobe I've pretty much had between like 10 to 15 years. I am an eco stylist and I do not shop very often. I barely shop at all. I have a small wardrobe. And so, you know, when we're thinking about, you know, okay, maybe the things in my wardrobe aren't working for me right now, what are those next steps? So we can, for me, you know, my way of consuming is to always shop secondhand first, whether that is op shopping, whether that is, you know, buying from secondhand shops. You know, for example, a lot of the questions came through of where can I shop secondhand in the inner west. So, you know, there's places like Swap on Enmore Road. There's, you know, U-Turn Recycled Fashion. There's so many vintage shops, so many op shops throughout the inner west. So that's always my kind of, my first preference is to shop secondhand first. And, you know, I think the other thing that we need to think about and prioritize is, you know, that conscious shopping criteria that we will apply to shopping new product, we can also apply that to shopping secondhand. So for example, if I'm going to shop at a charity store, I want my money to go to certain charities that support community programs that I believe in. So for example, I am the Save the Children National Retail Eco Stylist because I really believe in the work that Save the Children do. So I will always support a Save the Children op shop first, and I will always go to a Save the op shop first whenever I am looking for something new that I need. And so it's important to kind of, yeah, just think about that value set as well, and that can apply to shopping secondhand. You know, there's so many different secondhand resellers. And so, you know, really thinking about who do I want to support? You know, is it a female-led business? Do I want to support female-led business first? And making sure that, okay, I want to support this secondhand reseller because they are female and I want my money to go towards this person. So when we're talking about this idea of shopping secondhand and the how, there are many different things, and like Joe was saying too, I could probably talk about it for a very long time, but these are a couple of tips. So when you are going to a thrift store or a, you know, a flea market or a garage sale or a secondhand store, one thing I would say is just throw out the rule book. There are no rules. You're not dictated by fast fashion trends like you are when you are approaching, I guess, a shopping mall, and there's just, you know, constant communication and advertising and campaigns telling you what you should be and what you should be wearing and how you should present yourself. The thing, you know, for me and why I love secondhand so much is because it is a medium to really express myself and my identity. So personal style and curating your own personal style is a reflection of you, and it should be completely individualistic and unique. And so, you know, what I always say is that we should really celebrate difference. I think we're so scared of being different in society, you know, in general, that, you know, we really need to embrace difference, and that difference is actually what makes us all so amazing, and that comes through our clothing. So when you are approaching a secondhand shop, throw out that rule book. You know, you are allowed to wear whatever it is you want to wear. From a styling perspective as well, I know that there is this constant kind of narrative that, you know, you should only wear things that, you know, flatter your body shape. And I just want to say that we really should kind of dismantle this perspective and just kind of throw it away, because there are things that I have in my wardrobe that may not particularly flatter my wardrobe, but they make me feel so good when I wear them because they are super colorful, they are bright, they are joyful, they have a story behind them, and I feel amazing in them. So I think the great starting point is, how do you feel in your clothes? Don't listen to what somebody else is kind of telling you should wear. Our bodies change so much over time, and so there is no, there is no specific one way to dress, and that will always change as we change as well. So really throwing out the rule book is what I'm emphasizing there. When you're going to secondhand shops and charity stores, try everything on. Your op shopping and thrifting, try everything on, because it can be really overwhelming when you're looking at a bunch of things on a rack, and you may, start to get dissuaded about certain silhouettes and shapes and think, what, there's actually nothing working for me here. But when you try things on, you actually can see the piece in isolation and really see the beauty of what it can offer you. If you are going to big thrift stores and charity stores, take a trolley with you. Make sure you're wearing comfortable clothes. Don't take the little basket, because you do want to kind of try as many things on as possible, and you want it to be, as pleasant of an experience as possible. It can get very overwhelming, especially if you're, just in the beginning of kind of shopping secondhand. So make sure you take a trolley with you so you can just put things in, and yeah, sift through all the different racks. Okay, so the other thing I'll say is, once you've gone through your closet and your wardrobe and you've done your wardrobe edit, like Joe had mentioned, it's really important to identify the missing gaps in your wardrobe. And then when you are going to a secondhand shop, go directly to that section. Don't kind of get distracted by all the other sections, because it can be very, very overwhelming. So go directly to that section and focus on that section in particular. And then if you're feeling kind of experimental and you've got more time, then you can kind of go to the other sections. But, if I really need a great pair of denim jeans, I'm going to go straight to the pant and denim section rather than going to the beautiful shoe section where I can see all these sparkly things, because that's when you're going to start purchasing things that you actually don't need and may not wear. I don't know how I'm going for time. I think I've definitely gone over time, but there's just so much to talk about. The other thing I'll say is, just don't get caught up in traditional sizing. So don't be, really fixated on this idea that, hey, I'm an Australian size 8 and I never falter from that, because when you are going secondhand shopping, you're obviously being exposed to so many different decades past, so many different brands, so many different, fabric compositions. We know that when a garment is made from a certain fabric, that, if there's stretch to it, then it has more give. So just kind of really throw out that size book. And that's why it's really important to make sure that you're trying everything on as well. And yeah, not have this kind of, obsession with size, because, it's okay. If it looks great, that's all that matters. Have I gone over time, Emma?
No, that's perfect. We can, I'll come in there and say a big thank you, because that's amazing. So many great things to think about, particularly like, your wrap of the ethical approach and, needing it to be little harm to the planet and people, and, aligning with our values. I loved that conscious shopping criteria that you talk about. So that's really, really helpful. And just the idea of embracing difference through our clothing. That's, really, really great part of what you do. So thank you so much. So on that note, we now move on to our next presenter, who is, of course, the wonderful and talented Ali Dibley. So Ali is the owner of Bell Street, which is a shop in Marrickville, which offers vintage, secondhand and handmade clothing for hire, along with custom-made wedding dresses, which is incredible. So Ali is an experienced dressmaker and ensures people find the perfect special occasion outfit so they can rent it. So isn't that amazing? So over to you, Ali.
Thank you. I'm sorry, an ambulance just went past right as I unmuted myself, so hopefully that's the last one. So I've run this dress hire business for almost 4 years, and it's still a fairly new concept for women to rent clothes. Men have been renting suits for years, but yeah, renting dresses is still a fairly new thing. So a lot of people naturally have a lot of reservations and questions. So today I'm going to give you my top 5 tips for borrowing clothes, whether that's from a physical shop like this or a website or borrowing things from your friends. If you have a friend who has lots of amazing clothes, it's worth asking them if they'd consider lending you an outfit from time to time. If you don't have a friend who has lots of clothes, hi, I'm Ali, let's be friends. So the first thing you're probably thinking at this point is we're not the same size. I wouldn't fit into my friend's clothes. The shop wouldn't have anything that fits me. And so my first tip, which I'm so glad Nat agrees with me, is stop worrying about the size on the label. It's just a number and it varies depending on so many different factors. Wearing a shirt with a 12 on it doesn't make you a 12. You're a person who happens to be wearing a size 12 shirt that day. It means nothing. So be open to what you try on. In this shop, I wear every size just because I always want to wear the clothes. So if you're putting something on and you feel like it might not fit, don't give up and take it off straight away. Have a look at it and think, okay, how could I wear this? So there's so many things you can do. So I've got some mannequin friends to help show you. So the really obvious one is to get something that's too big for you and put a belt over it. But belts are also a really great way to like temporarily shorten something. I do that a lot. I always think dresses are too long, so I stick a nice tight elastic belt around it, wedge it up there and just keep an eye on it. I can also do actual alterations, but you know, sometimes you don't have time. This lady, she's wearing a dress that is a little bit too short, a little bit tight around the bum. So if you love it, just wear it as a top, put a skirt over it, and that's a wrap top, wrap skirt. We love it. This shirt that I'm wearing is just a very oversized 80s shirt that does not flatter me normally, but I make it work because I just love the sparkles and the spots. And I think I'm actually wearing it backwards maybe, but whatever. The other secret, so many people do this, celebrities do this. There's no rule that your dresses have to zip up. There are no rules. You can even wear it like, if you're not wear something over it, you can fold it back. And it's just a nice backless dress. You can put a safety pin or a brooch if you don't want the zip to go down too far. Also, dresses that open at the front or wrap dresses look really cool as like a duster coat. Like that's a really cool look. And so you could even maybe wear something like that and mix in a dress that you already have, which brings me to my second tip, which is to mix in things that you already own. So if you're going to something that's really dressy and formal and you only have one pair of dressy formal shoes, bring those with you. And any jewelry, anything you might want to add, maybe well-fitting pants so you can look for a top, bring it all, and you don't have to wear it all. It just gives you a chance to play with what you got, and it might help narrow your decisions down. So my next tip is to try things that are outside of your everyday style. The very fact that you're renting clothes means that this event that you're going to is not part of your everyday life. You don't go to weddings every Saturday, you don't go to a work Christmas party every day, so why stick with your everyday style? The really fun, freeing thing about renting is that you don't have to be practical about what you choose. You can have whatever you want. And you can be someone else for a night because, like, say you get a really specific invitation, like, we're having a Harry Potter murder mystery and it's black tie and your character's in Slytherin, and you go, what about, right? It's perfect. It may not be your style. It may not be perfect for any other event, but it's perfect for that night. And it's your style for that night, or maybe for that week. Because here's my next tip, is get your money's worth. So when in our shop, at least, for example, when you rent an outfit, say like nice, like 1940s jacket and a dress, maybe you've got it for a friend's wedding or something, you get the outfit for a week, but there's no rules to say how many times you wear it in the week. So you could wear the coat every day to work. You could wear the dress out for a date night. You could ring up your friends and say, hey, how about we meet for cocktails and like we should get really dressed up too. And when you go out and do that, your friends are going to go, oh my God, you look amazing. Where'd you get that? You should, it suits you so well. You should totally buy that. Don't rent it, buy it. And you're going to say this, yes, thank you. I know I do look amazing. But you don't have to own something to enjoy it. And that is my last tip, is just to embrace the joy of not owning things. It's so freeing and it applies to so many things. I use a car share company, and not owning and maintaining a car, but being able to drive whenever you like is amazing. And so not having to look after really delicate, high maintenance clothes that need, they take up so much space to store, but you still get to dress like that whenever you like. It's so freeing. So be open to not owning things and sharing things. When you see your friend wearing an amazing jacket and you think, oh, that's exactly what I need, be brave enough to say, hey, would you mind if I borrowed that for a wedding I have coming up? I'm trying not to buy anything new at the moment. Now, if you borrow from friends, you should be careful with what you're borrowing and clean it before you give it back. But from a business, we do all the washing and repairs, and I think most rental businesses do that. So that brings me to one of the biggest reservations that people have with renting. They think they're going to ruin the clothes. And firstly, I think, what are you doing with your own clothes? Like, do you ruin things every time you go out? But the thing that really worries me is that people think they're ruining their clothes because maybe something happens to it that they don't know how to fix. But clothes are so fixable. Unless you actually set it on fire, I can usually salvage it somehow. We can do something with it. And so I'm really happy to share my clothing care and repair knowledge with you. I saw a lot of questions came in about that topic. So really looking forward to talking more about that in the questions. And I think that's what we've got coming up next. So that's all from me.
Oh, thank you so much, Ali. That was, your top tips are just the best tips ever. Especially loved that reveal of, that dress not quite fitting. That was quite amazing. And great that jacket looked on you and then it revealing what it really was. So that was really fantastic. And obviously, that idea that you don't actually have to own something to enjoy it, and that whole share economy thing is really important to thinking about waste and the environment. So thank you for leading the way in that. It's really, really great. So now we move on to a bit of a Q&A. We've got about 15 minutes left. We got about 60 questions through, so of course we're never going to get through all of those. But I'll try and, get to a few that sort of match the range of what people are really wanting to hear more about. And of course, if there's anything else you really want to know, please pop it in the chat and we'll do our best to get to that. So once again, thank you, the three of you, for all of your amazing styling tips and approaches to sustainable fashion. So I guess the first question that someone said, and I think it was someone called Sherida, hopefully she's with us. She was asking, where do I even start? Like you've given lots of great tips, but if someone's like feeling so overwhelmed about all this, what would be your, approach to something to just get you started on this journey of sustainable fashion? Who would like to go? Maybe Jo's ready to go. How about you go first?
Yeah, because I reckon my presentation touched upon that. You have to start with what you already own. Absolutely. And if you literally have nothing that you like in your wardrobe, you need to figure out why you don't like those items and what you've really got to work out your style, your kind of, and your what you do and don't like before you go to any shop, because otherwise the advertising campaigns are so manipulative. They're going to make you think that you're going to look like that model or that you have to wear this. So it's all about it's looking inwards before you look outwards for solutions.
I'll just add something to that too, because I think it's very important. Something that people always say to me is that they've learned about sustainability, right? And like, oh my gosh, I've got to get rid of all my fast fashion that I own in my wardrobe, and I've got to go buy all this new sustainable fashion. And that kind of is just the complete antithesis of sustainability, right? So if you are somebody that already has fast fashion majority in your wardrobe, keep it and wear it and repair it and style it in different ways. That is what sustainability is. It doesn't mean consumption. Like Ali touched on as well, it doesn't mean going out and buying things that are branded sustainable. Use what you have, and you're on the right path. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good starting point, because it can be really overwhelming and thinking like a project that you have to start, but just by stopping shopping, you've started and you've already got a wardrobe to start with. And what you say about fast fashion is so true, because we've become very known for sparkles in here, and vintage sequins aren't as common as people think. So we have a lot of fast fashion sequin stuff in here, and it's gone out 10, 20 times, and people wouldn't wear it that often normally, but it actually can last because it is still made by people. It's not made by a machine. So it's worth looking after what you have, and just knowing that just by making the decision, you've already made a really good start.
Totally.
Yeah, fantastic. So just starting, just making that first step is always the most important one. And so I guess there's a few questions just specifically around shopping your own wardrobe, Jo. So someone asked about just how do they even identify the hidden gems in their wardrobe? I mean, you gave us some great tips already, but maybe if you just want to expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think before they are able to identify hidden gems, they need to kind of create space. So I think that is the first thing to do, is to actually just take out a lot of things from the wardrobe. And it's like, it's quite free. I use that word, freeing. It's quite liberating to actually be able to see your clothes, and then it's probably a matter of going. The first thing I would do is go to the items that I don't normally wear, because I'm well aware of all the items that I wear all the time. I would almost kind of put those away for a bit and challenge myself to start just wearing the clothes I don't normally wear, and then it's like, oh, but how will I wear this? And so you know, there's no particular recipe for a hidden gem. I mean, it depends on your taste, but you know, it doesn't have to be anything sparkly. It doesn't have to be anything. You know, your hidden gem might end up being that white shirt that you bought back when you worked in a kind of office, and you look at it now and you think it's very dry and corporate, but actually it would open up so many opportunities for outfits, because you can start wearing it with those skirts that you think are a little bit too dressy. You can wear them with a white shirt and you know, maybe cute little flats and you know, a blazer, and you actually have created an outfit right there with you know, so finding things that you might think are boring and realizing that they're actually really versatile, but you've just got to kind of try them on with everything else. So yeah, does that make sense?
That's great. And I think that kind of leads on to a question from the wonderful Helen Bradley, and she's asked, you know, just knowing what those timeless core pieces are to have in your wardrobe. And I think, you know, that the classic T-shirt of whatever color your preference is, but you know, maybe just a couple of other things you could touch on.
Yeah. So for me, denim is a massive one. No matter what your age is, I just think that you can have way more fun with your wardrobe if you've got those pieces that then kind of power it back enough for it to feel wearable, for you not to feel ridiculous. So if you've got a magpie eye like I do, then you've got a lot of, I don't know, maybe sequins or embroidered stuff, or bright colors and prints and all of that. And it can get really difficult to actually create outfits if that's all you have. So if you've got a really nice pair of jeans that you love, and it is a horrible process to shop jeans, even for a lover of and you know, I mean, I only shop secondhand, and so that I guess it can be even harder, because you really to find the right fit and the right. But it is so worth it. You need to invest time and get a really good pair of jeans, maybe a denim jacket, although I'm more a leather jacket person, a denim shirt, because that just basically has the opposite. It's just the opposite side of the body, has the same effect. You can wear a sequin skirt in the day if you put it with a denim shirt. It just completely makes it okay. I mean, not that anything's not okay, but you know what it makes you feel probably more comfortable in wearing something a bit dressy on the bottom half if you've got a denim shirt. Same with, I love white shirts, cream shirts. I love also, this is my last thing because I'll probably go on too long. Neutrals, to try and understand what a neutral is, and because most people think a neutral is a black item, and a lot of my client clothes have so much black in them, and I think that's because they think they're buying something that's going to be versatile. But it's funny because actually, to me, a black piece of clothing is not neutral because it's strong. It's really strong, and it's like a kind of full stop at the end of a sentence. And for me, it can often compete with bright colors. It compete with patterns. For me, a neutral is anything that is a natural color, and that includes, for me, terracotta, you know, sandy colors, kind of khaki is a neutral for me. So if you have if you have some of those things in your wardrobe, then you feel like you can always wear the kind of blingy magpie items more easily in the day, and not save them for special occasions if you can par them back with these neutrals. The think of neutrals in a new way.
To me, neutrals are also, you know, and I think when people get very dissuaded when they think that like a pattern can be neutral, so a stripe can be neutral, a polka dot can be neutral. Leopard print is a huge neutral, and so you can, and to kind of touch on that question before as well, you know, if you're trying to find those hidden gems in your wardrobe, they come in things that are not necessarily like just block colors. You know, you can, you know, if you're trying to find versatility in your wardrobe as well, and you're somebody that is trying to get maximum value out of what they own, pattern clashing is something that you can do, but you can do it in a subtle way. So if you've got neutrals like a polka dot or a stripe, and you're not used to kind of wearing patterns, wear your patterns on the bottom and then wear just like something plain up the top, if that makes sense. So yeah, there is other ways as well to kind of get that versatility out of your wardrobe, and kind of just color blocking as well. Like, you know, today I'm wearing this really loud kind of print, but I'm wearing a pink dress underneath it, and I'm bringing out that color in the pattern of the jacket. And so you can do that. And I know, Jo, you've kind of done it too with the scale of your print. You've worn a smaller scale underneath, but then a bigger scale outside. And so that's another way you can get maximum kind of versatility out of your wardrobe, by playing with scale as well. Sorry, I just felt like I had to chime in on that one.
It's great. You could just talk all day. I might move on to Ali now. I had a really great question around Ali's, you know, reasoning for why renting is such a good option. I'm sure you've touched on that, but why renting? And you know, there was a great question around, do you see it? Somebody was asking if you think it could be something that could be standard on every high street.
I think that would be great. I think the daunting thing about sustainable fashion for a lot of people is that they think capsule wardrobes and neutrals, as we just talked about, people misunderstand what neutrals means, or they think they have to buy their sustainable wardrobe and then just live with it for life, I guess. And that is not sustainable. You can't do that. So I think renting is really good for the times when you do, just for whatever reason, you need something that's new to you. And sometimes it is because you're going somewhere really fun and you don't want to wear something you've already got. You want to wear something new and exciting. The other really good examples is if you change sizes a lot, then it's perfect for that, because, you know, even though we say not to worry about the size, it is disheartening when things in your own wardrobe don't fit you anymore. And you think, I don't want to buy a whole new wardrobe if I think I'll get back to that size. Renting's really good for that kind of thing. And yeah, it's just a way of branching out of that capsule wardrobe in a way that's still sustainable. And it's because these are all the kind of things that you wouldn't wear more than once or twice in your life. But if we share it amongst us all, then the clothes get worn. And yeah, I absolutely think it would be great if there was more shops like this, because there are big companies, like say in the US, there's Rent the Runway, which is a really big company, and they operate mostly online. And it's great. They're pretty much one of the first rental companies, and I love that they're normalizing dress rental, but so many people are hesitant to try that because they can't go in and touch the clothes and try them on. And I think, yeah, there's definitely a market for more local rental shops that people can actually visit, and you can tailor to the market. Like, this shop's everything that Marrickville loves, and I'm happy to just cater to my customers because I know what they like. And yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, and we are so lucky to have you in the inner west, so that's really great. So Fiona said she's loving all of your presentations and your inspiring ideas and the emphasis on social and environmental. So well done to you all. I was actually going to just point out that there was somebody that has joined us today called Sonia, and it was actually her daughter who's turning 9 today. So happy birthday to her daughter. I didn't catch her name. But she's really interested in becoming a fashion designer. So really excited that she's jumped on these ideas and learning lots from you guys today. So there was a question from Jay around trends, but I think you guys have already touched on that. You don't really have to follow the trends. There's so much more to focus on. So do you want to just touch on that idea a little bit?
Who wants to start? Nat?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess the idea of trends is that they are fleeting. So it's this idea that, you know, you're supposed to wear something for a certain amount of time, and then it's over, and you know, the next thing comes. And, you know, I guess, you know, fast fashion is very much known for that because they, you know, they produce not seasonally, they produce weekly, even daily. They produce new things daily, which is really scary. So the idea is that there is this kind of planned obsolescence, and that, you know, okay, great, I've got that, I've walked in, I've bought that, it's out of fashion tomorrow. And that isn't good it's not good for the planet. It's not good because these garment workers, which are 80% women worldwide, are not getting paid fair living wages. And so they're stuck in that kind of cycle of production. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's, you know, a real kind of inside job of figuring out what your personal style is, what makes you feel comfortable, what makes you feel happy, what makes you feel joyful, and just wearing what you love. Nothing goes out of fashion. And I particularly focus more on, you know, even just in terms of language, like language is very important. I tend to use the word style over fashion, because style to me is timeless, it's forever. Whereas yes, fashion has this connotation that there is an end to it at a certain amount of time, which is associated with trends. So yeah.
I use fashion as a verb, so I agree with that. And I try and explain to people that fashion is a verb, essentially, not just the name of an industry. It's to fashion yourself. So we can all fashion ourselves in any way we want. I mean, I love keeping an eye on trends. I'm always looking at Vogue Runway. I'm always looking at the latest catwalk shows. I'm obsessed with certain designers, but not to the point where I want to buy their logos, but to the point I just love their artistic, you know, expression. And so for me, I actually like tricking the system. And when I see something all over the catwalks, I just shop my own wardrobe with that inspiration. And that's another really good tip for shopping your own wardrobe. Get your inspiration from what's going on, but rather than follow those trends, you say, oh, well, I really like the way that they've worn kind of prints together, so I'll go and see if I can do that myself. You know, like Dries Van Noten is one of my print clasher geniuses.
That's exactly what I wanted to say, is like, it's okay to be interested in fashion and it's okay to like following trends. I on Instagram, I save any posts that I see of street style or runway looks, or like influencers that I follow, any outfits that I like, I save, and I have 3 collections of winter, summer, and in between season outfits, because if you're following people from the Northern Hemisphere, they tend to be opposite. And I think it's all very well for people like us that are very creative and, you know, in this world all the time, to say, oh, just buy what you like. But a lot of people do find it intimidating to find their personal style and know where to start and what looks good. And so I think there is merit to going through, looking at your inspiration and working out, it doesn't have to be trends that are necessarily super current, but looking and going, oh, okay, I'm liking all these girls in high-waisted jeans. That's something I'm going to start looking out for. Or like, I've noticed that I'm only liking short dresses now. Go cut off all your long dresses, you know. And it's your way of like cheating and trying to find your own way to follow the trends. And I think that is, it's okay. It's not, you know, obviously the fast fashion cycle, that's evil, but you know, it's okay to want to wear what other people are wearing.
Yeah. So That is really great tips. You wouldn't believe it. We're already at 3 o'clock. Actually, we're over. And we didn't get to all of those other amazing questions that people have asked through. I wanted to talk about mending and repairing with you, Ali, and a lot more about op shopping, that with you, and all of your other style tips. We clearly could have gone on for another hour. So unfortunately, the conversation today has to stop here. But I really would like to thank you all so much for being part of it. We have recorded this, so you can rewatch it and share it with friends. And yeah, maybe we'll do this again and be able to do it face to face.